What's up, America? Neil here with Geauga Firearms Academy. Thanks for watching. I'm boasting my tactical sling today after my surgery. Got rotator cuff surgery, so you'll see me with this for a while. But today I want to talk a little bit about buying your first AR. So let's get started. So this question actually came, I get this question quite a bit, but just recently from a patron, and I wanted to address it. The question is, I want to buy my first AR, and so what should I buy? And there's all this like laundry list of things that people hear about and whatnot that you want. So let me just give you my opinion based on my experience. And when I say that, I want you to understand the context from where we're coming from. I make my living as a firearms instructor. That's what I do for a living, so I put food on the table. So I'm giving you this not as a new shooter or experienced or I shoot a lot. I mean, I literally make my living doing this. So from that perspective down, kind of for those that are just getting into it, I'm kind of showing you the future, so to speak, from all the experience that I have. Here's the thing when it comes to an AR. First of all, the most important thing, as with any system, any gun, is training, okay, and shooting it, getting some training and getting some trigger time. And that's really important with ARs because when it comes to ARs, most people, they grossly overbuy. I mean, hugely. And I've used this analogy in other videos, and I'll say it again. It's no different than you going to a Ram dealership or a truck of your choice and saying, hey, I've got a 2,000-pound trailer. What should I pull? And the salesman looks you dead in the eye and says, you need a Ram 3500 diesel dually. Okay, 2,000 pounds, cars could pull that. That's not a big deal. So that is, will it pull it? Of course. It'll pull that plus your house. But that is way overkill. And that's typically what I've seen with ARs. When it comes to shooting an AR, there's going to be a little variance on how you actually shoot the gun. My point there is that I like to have a long extension on the gun, as many do. But you may find that you want to keep your hand closer. And so that's going to determine that forend, that rail area, how much space do you really need. It's going to also determine how you like to hold that. That's going to vary from shooter to shooter. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad technique or style. It's just what you, because of your body mechanics and how you stabilize the gun, you may find one advantage over another. So the worst thing ever would be to go and buy a high-end gun with all the gadgets and widgets, and you find out that most of them you're going to change anyway because it's not set up for you. So most importantly, what I find is that people overbuy a gun. Now, I don't care what brand it is. I don't care how much you paid for it. I don't care how accurate the gun is. If you don't have training and experience to actually get that accuracy out of the gun, it's not going to matter. I could give you a LWRC, Daniel Defense, Noveski, whatever. Name all the top ends you want. If you don't know how to shoot it well, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter how good the gun is. That said, if we look at some of the really good entry-level guns, the first two that come to my mind, first and foremost, is the M&P Sport 2. I think that's a phenomenal gun. I think that should be everybody's first AR. That or the Ruger 5.56, because they're at a low entry point and they're a quality gun. At the end of the day, it isn't going to make any difference. The two things that are about reliability and accuracy is the barrel and the bolt carrier group. Other than that, the rest is stuff, literally. Most of the things that you're going to buy, as far as the lowers and the uppers, they're going to be T6 aluminum. They're going to be a mil-spec setup. They're all pretty much the same. Are there advantages at the very high end? Well, yeah. That's like saying, is this NASCAR? Does this get better performance in this particular setup than this standard Corvette, right? But if you're learning to drive, what does it matter? What does it matter? First of all, shoot it until you have to replace the barrel. There you go. Break it first, and then figure out when you go to upgrade what you want. There's not going to be any massive difference if you buy a really quality barrel, like a high-end barrel on the gun that you just shot 15,000 rounds through, and you upgrade to that barrel. It isn't going to make any difference if you bought it off the shelf like that or you got the experience beforehand. So, in my opinion, the M&P Sport 2, for example, that is going to be more than enough gun to meet all of your needs. Everybody gets into guns and they're like, oh, I'm Rambo now. I'm going to be Tactical Timmy. I'm going to be shooting 20,000 rounds a year. Really? I mean, come on. I want you to be honest with yourself. Really? You will probably never in your lifetime shoot enough rounds to blow out that barrel, realistically, unless you just really get into it. In which case, great. That's fantastic. Then once that barrel is out, replace it with a higher end barrel. Once you've determined exactly how you've gone to several training classes and you can run that gun really well, by all means, then you can spend the money on stuff and get the advantage. Is an enhanced trigger going to make you a better shooter? Well, not if you don't have a baseline, not if you don't have the fundamentals. It's not going to matter. We're just bandaging things. It's the same thing when people buy trigger jobs for their guns. Like, they just started shooting and now they got like a $180 trigger job in there to make it shoot better. That is a crutch. You are not helping yourself. You're taking that lighter, easier trigger instead of being competent and having the experience and becoming good at shooting any trigger. I should be able to pick up any stock gun and shoot it well. Does the better trigger increase that? Of course it does. But you got to get to that base level first. You got to have a solid fundamentals, the solid foundation before you go anywhere. So my advice for your first AR is to buy a good quality entry-level gun. Again, I already gave you the couple that come to the top of mind. To me, the Springfield Saint with the BCM furniture on it, the free float, that is a phenomenal gun. I would never buy anything more than that. I don't see the point. I like the Melanite barrel that's in it. I like the Melanite because it's actually harder than chrome lined, and it doesn't, since it's a treatment and not a coating, it doesn't affect accuracy that you would have with a chrome line. So I think it's a great barrel. They've got great internals. The bolt carrier group is excellent. It's nickel boron coated trigger group. Do you need that? No, you need none of those things. None of what I just mentioned is necessary for a new shooter getting into an AR. What's necessary is getting trigger time and training properly and learning how to shoot that gun, how to run that gun. And then you can add on to it as it goes. And honestly, other than the bolt carrier group and the barrel, it's really not going to make any difference. And those are upgrades you can make at any time. All right, guys? So hopefully that will help you. I'm not saying don't buy good gear. The first one, I'm just telling you that what you guys would turn your nose up to, the basic entry-level gun, is still more than you're ever going to probably use, realistically speaking. All right? After that, it's all just personal preference. I hope this helped you guys a little bit, kind of keep you on track, put a little money in your pocket instead of wasting on stuff. The money that you are going to spend, if let's just say, for example, you have a $2,000 budget, rather than spend $2,000 on a gun, spend $500, $600 on a gun and spend the rest in training. That would be a far better bet for you, I promise. Hope you learned something from this. Hope it was helpful. You can find us, of course, on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and, of course, our A-level stuff always goes to Patreon. Until next time, remember, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.